The world of company secretaries. Yes, we are starting a new interview show which is called The World of Company Secretaries. So, we are going to have different company secretaries from different backgrounds across India and the world, and you will be getting a clear idea about what is the scope of company secretaries. Now, why are we doing this interview show? And today is the first episode with CS Sujay Menon, who is in Dubai. The reason we are doing it is there is lot of lack of information among CS students about the scope of company secretaries. The usual people who give information to CS students are teachers or chartered accountants or other parents and relatives. So nobody is giving the real picture. So that is why we are calling this show as the world of company secretaries. That is how the world of company secretaries work, what is the profession they do, and what are the career opportunities for you if you do company secretary course. There is lot of negative attitude among students about company secretary course, but the reality in the corporate world is exactly the opposite. So we will be interviewing company secretaries of top companies, and they will tell you what is the respect of company secretaries, what is the remuneration of company secretaries, and what is the scope of company secretaries. So this will motivate you to do the company secretary course, and also to make sure that you are not getting misguided and getting wrong information. Many students are leaving company secretary course because they feel there is not enough scope for company secretaries. This is exactly the opposite from the reality in the corporate world. In the corporate world, the demand for good company secretaries is very, very high, and there are not enough good company secretaries. So that is why how much ever we tell, students are not going to understand. That is why I made the effort. From Excel Academy, we have contacted different company secretaries, and every Monday we will be releasing an interview on Excel Academy's YouTube channel, where a company secretary comes and shares his or her experience. Because end of the day, today they may be company secretary in top companies like Reliance, Tata, Birla, Infosys, but they also started company secretary because just like you and me, they were also a student someday, and today they have reached top positions. And all these people will really be very motivating and inspiring, so that you also do the company secretary course. So the intention is very simple, to make sure that we remove all the negativity which people are spreading and give you the real picture by interviewing real time company secretaries who are top company secretaries in different areas. It could be company secretary in practice, company secretary in employment, company secretary in management, company secretary abroad. So we have covered all kind of categories. Company secretary in a big city, company secretary in a small town, different kind of categories we have covered, and every week one episode you will be having the interview. That is the world of company secretaries. Now let us enter episode number 1 with CS Sujay Menon. Hello and welcome to another video of Excel Academy. So, dear students of Excel Academy, we are very excited to start a new series where we'll be interviewing different company secretaries around the world, which will motivate you to do the company secretary course very well. So, today we are joined by a very special guest, that is Mr. Sujay Menon. Sujay Menon is a company secretary and also has qualified law. More than me, I would let Sujay Menon to introduce himself. Sujay heads a firm and he's based out of Dubai. He's a company secretary, and I'm sure his story will be very inspiring for all your students. Hello, Sujay, and welcome to our show.
Hi, Alok. Good morning. Pleasure
Yes,
to be here.
same here. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview. So, Sujay, you're based out of Dubai, and many students are very excited and interested to know. So, can you please tell us brief about your firm and what you do out of Dubai? Then we can go to other questions.
Sure. I moved to Dubai in August 2013. I completed my CS. I was pursuing I finished my law degree as well before moving. And then I was working with a firm called Nischit Desai and Associates in Bangalore in their corporate secretary division called Swift Corporate Services. So over there, I was there for about 6 months after my internship and everything. And then in August 2013, I moved to Dubai. In Dubai, I worked with a company called Mercury Hamlin. They are
Okay.
into corporate services and everything. Mostly what my job was to be as a company secretary and a compliance officer. So
Sure.
within India, the role of a company secretary is more of meetings and all of those things, and advising the board of directors and on key issues and directions that the board should take. But outside India, if you look at it, there are different roles that a company secretary can do, and that's mostly in the form of a compliance officer. You
Great.
know, to see if you're in line with all the regulatory requirements and all that. So that was my first role when I came to the UAE. I worked with the firm for about 4.5 years. Then I moved to an audit firm because that is the first year that VAT came into picture in the
Okay.
UAE. So that's why I was working with an audit firm. Our market situations were not so great, and after a 12-month period with the audit firm, I started up my own firm in Dubai. What Sujay Menon and Associates (DMCC) does is corporate service provider, accounting and bookkeeping services, tax advisory, risk management and advisory. These are the services that we do.
That's
We are largely based out of the DMCC free zone,
okay.
and we assist a lot of clients in setting up their business in Dubai. We understand the regulatory framework and the requirements over here, so we can advise the clients accordingly in setting up the business and give them a start in the UAE. So that's basically what Sujay Menon and Associates does.
Great. So I am sure that itself will really motivate a lot of students to understand that somebody who's basically from India, has worked in India, also worked with a law firm, then moved to the UAE and has finally set up his own firm in Dubai. That itself is quite inspiring. But before we go into what you do now, I think
Yeah,
we'll just move back this journey to the very first time. How did you take CS course? Because most of our audience is students. How did
yeah.
you take CS course? What made you take CS course? Now you own a firm in Dubai, but how did it all start?
It's a long story. It's about 8 9 years ago, basically. This was in 2009. That's when I first took up CS, more seriously. This all happened actually. It's a very casual thing, but I think it is a very real thing as well.
Sure,
Because
definitely.
I was with a friend of mine and we were walking down Brigade Road,
Okay.
and it was a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And what happened is this friend of mine suddenly got a phone call. He was already doing CS, and he was interning
Okay.
with Sundareshan, J. Sundareshan and Associates.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was. We were walking down Brigade Road, and he got a call, and from one of his clients basically, and they
Yes.
said that he was scheduling a board meeting on Monday morning.
Okay.
And when he was talking about all this board meeting, and they're talking about capital restructuring and bringing in a new director and all those things, and he was like, "Yes, sir, we can do it. I'll prepare the resolutions. We will meet you in the board. I mean, we'll meet at the time, and we can do all of these things." And that just surprised me. That just shocked me, because how can someone just walk into a boardroom, and meet directors of companies and all those things and do all these things? So that was the real inspiration. So I spoke to him, and then I met with him. I met with Mr. Sundareshan.
Okay.
He, I had done the CS foundation course at that time,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I didn't take it very seriously. I just took the foundation course because after BCom
Mhm.
everybody does something. So I just took up the CS foundation course.
Okay.
Then after this, friend of mine introduced me to Mr. Sundareshan. I went to his office. I met him, and
Mhm.
he told me that, what are you doing? And I was working with Northern Trust. It was like a KPO, BPO kind of a
Okay.
bank. So he was telling me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I was working here." "Why do you want to do CS?" Because I told him about the thing and the meeting of the board meeting that the friend of mine was talking about, and that inspired me and all that. And he
Okay.
was like, "Why are you wasting your life? Why do you want to really become CS? Tell me." I'm like, "No, no,
Mhm.
no, I'm not wasting my life. I'm serious about it. I want to do it." And
Mhm.
he said, "No, no, no, you're actually wasting your life when you're in your BPO or KPO job.
Okay.
That'll pay you 10 20,000 rupees a month, but you're actually wasting your life because there's no real future after that."
Hmm.
So I was like thinking, okay, what is he trying to tell? Should I take CS course or should I not take the CS course? Or what is he trying to say? He was
Okay.
all in a very mystical way he was talking to. Then
Hmm.
finally he said that, okay, I can take you. We can start your internship and everything,
Hmm.
but you have to do one more thing. You have to add law to your course, because that
Okay.
will give you a wider perspective of how this entire thing works. The CS, the corporate law, is
Hmm.
the prime subject that we learn. So you need
Yes.
to do law as well. So he was also pursuing law over there in Bangalore, in
Yes.
Shishadripuram College. So he took me there. He told me that you need to register for law. So I said, okay, fine. And then I quit my job and I started with Mr.
Hmm.
Sundareshan. And this was in 2011, I think. Yeah, 2011 August. That's when I
Okay.
started with Mr. Sundareshan. Life
Great.
was tough because
Okay.
it's not easy to work live in Bangalore for 5,000 rupees a month. Of course, you need to have family support and everything. So that I
Right.
had. Thankfully, my family supported me
Hmm.
fully, and things started. And
Hmm.
Mr. Sundareshan is more of a practical teacher. So he's
Yeah.
not like you read, and you pass the exam and become a bookworm. No, he doesn't work that way. The good thing is he gave me a lot of freedom, and he put me in the swimming pool on day one. I didn't know swimming, and he put me in the pool on day one. He said, you should work with, these are your clients. They are your responsibility. You need to take care of them, and I should not get any complaints from any of them. And
Okay.
they are people I've never met before, I've never heard of before, nothing, zero knowledge.
Hmm.
So that's the way he works, which is good. It was like a start. And then I focused more on the corporate laws aspect, learning the key sections. I mean, that was the Companies Act of 1956,
Hmm.
more than the latest Companies Act. So I
Yes.
was learning more on the sections, and then
Hmm.
meeting clients, and it was a whole wide world of, it was just amazement for me. It was very nice actually, because it was learning, and I was getting paid for it, 5,000 rupees a month. But still, whatever, pocket
Great.
money is coming, and I was learning as well.
Hmm.
So that was
No,
the key.
I think that's a really nice way of putting up your entire initial days. Because what I would also, before we even ask other questions, I
Yeah.
would like to draw the attention of all students here, saying that,
Mm.
see, Sujay was just like one of you. You may be feeling, is it possible? Or now he's in Dubai, he owns a firm and all that. But if you look at the story, he was just like you. He didn't even know what to say. As one of his friend told him, then he got to know about it. Then he went and started doing the training. And many people say that training we don't go because stipend is less, but when you are learning you're getting paid money just for your expenses and stuff like that. So once you do a training and stipend, you obviously get a smaller amount because you're still a student, but
Yeah.
that is what will finally lead you to something like, for example, what Sujay is already doing here in Dubai. So that's very interesting. So going further, so how
Mm.
do you think law helped you? Because you mentioned about law. So
Yeah.
do you think law adds that extra edge, becoming CS, or only CS will be helpful, or do you suggest law, and how did it help you?
It is very much helpful. It is very much helpful because, see, if we do CS only, we are an expert in one part of the business
Correct.
of law, of corporate law. We are an expert in that because we know A to Z about the company law. But to get into the real aspect in day-to-day life, because once you finish your course, you're in the real world. You'll start meeting people, businessmen, companies, owners of companies, and when they ask you questions, you have to have a wide range of knowledge. You cannot just focus only on corporate law and then say that that is not my responsibility, labor law is not my responsibility, or taxation is not my responsibility, and all of that. You cannot walk away from that. So law is a very, very important addition. I'm not saying only law or only CS. No, it should be a combination of CS and law you need to do. Because I'll tell you one more thing. In my experience with Nischit Desai and associates over there, the lawyers over there are top of the cream. They are the best of the best in the law schools, and Nischit Desai hires them, and they get paid very well as well. But in my personal experience of almost a year and a half over there, when I was interning over there as well, they have very, very low knowledge about company law. Because when the first, I mean, I'm not talking about the senior partners, I'm talking about the
Correct.
associates and the new people who join the firm. They
Yes.
have very low knowledge about company law. They focus on other parts of the law. So when they come to you and you're an expert because you're a CS, you're expected to be of a certain standard of knowledge in company laws, and they come to you and they come to you a lot. I remember I getting calls at 8:30 in the night, 9 o'clock in the night, with there's a transaction tomorrow. I need, how do I do this? How can I hold this meeting? Or how do
Mm.
I prepare the minutes? Can you send me the minutes quickly?
Mm.
All these kind of things. These are practical,
Mm.
aspects of the subject, and you need to know. And when you become an expert in corporate law, the lawyers start giving you respect, and
Yes,
they think of you as more of a, when you yourself think that CS is the lowest after CA and all that, which is wrong actually. But initially,
correct.
when you start off, you think like that. But when you start becoming a serious corporate law expert, which CS teaches you, then other people, take a note of you, and they think that you are good. But you should be really good in the CS that you do as well, in the company law
Correct.
that you learn as well.
Sure. I
Yeah.
think this is again what students should really pay attention to, that only CS or only law might not really take you very high, but
Yeah.
that combination is what makes it special. One plus one is always more than two when you talk about LLB and CS. So,
Yes.
going further, Sujay,
Yeah.
can you share a little bit of your experience about your job with Nischit Desai, and what are the kind of role you were doing there, and how did that help your personal growth in terms of your knowledge? If you could
Oh,
share that, that will be helpful.
of course, of course. As I said, Mr. Sundaresan actually put me on internship over there. Internship in the sense I was,
Deputed over there.
yeah, deputed over there for
Okay.
some time, and that gave me a lot of exposure because the law is always ask you questions, which makes you read the law basically. But
Yes.
they always come up with the ways to do things, because you need to do the right thing for the client. You need to advise the client, but you need to advise them within the framework of the law. You cannot do anything which is illegal or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
So they always come to an expert in company law, asking them, how can we do this? Tell me ways in which this can be done. And if you are wrong, they will catch you, because they know the law as well. They read it and they know where to find out. So when
Mm.
they go through it and when they ask you, you need to be on par with them. You need to be on the same page with them. So that means you need to be really good at CS. You need to really put in efforts. It's not
Mm.
easy, because learning the law is very difficult, but it's more of learning the law and interpretation of the law. That is more important as well, even in company law. See, Nishit Desai gave me a lot of exposure in the sense they took me for audits. I
Okay.
went to Mysore. There was this transaction happening that time when I was interning with them. It was an aluminium company which was being taken over by a Japanese company. So imagine, I was getting to learn about FEMA. I was getting to know about labor law. I was getting to know about corporate structuring. I was getting
Yeah.
to know about dividend distribution. I was getting to know about a lot of things. When you actually look at it, these are chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the company law. But when you're
Exactly.
actually physically there, you are like doing all of this at the same time, and that much, you're learning. You're actually
Yeah.
feeling what you're studying. So that gave me a lot of experience, a freedom, knowledge, and then under better understanding of the laws. That's why I recommend doing the internship. You feel that doing the internship is not great, and it's just a waste of time. No, that is wrong. You have to do your internship, because reading the book and writing the exam is one part. When you're living through the internship, that's a completely different experience. You
Exactly.
need to go through that.
True. In fact, I'm very happy Sujay brought this point, because what he's trying to say is that whatever you study is actually what you'll be working. So it's just like a doctor. So doctor cannot say, I'll never treat a patient, I'll become first rank doctor. That's never going to work.
Mm.
You have to work in the real world. And like Sujay shared his experience in just one transaction, he got to practically experience the entire company law, whether it is the corporate structuring or the FEMA angle coming into picture, labor laws. So this is the gap which I feel students should really pay attention to, because it is not just that you write some exam and pass, and that should not be your only focus, because end of the day whatever you're writing or studying is to make sure your basics are right when you actually start working, like Sujay just shared his experience in Nishit Desai. So next I would like to ask you, like, how did you even think that okay, a CS can work abroad, or how did that move to UAE and Dubai happen? And what was your thought process? Can you share that journey and what happened then?
Sure. That also was, actually, I opportunity knocks. That's all I can say, because when you're prepared, opportunity knocks. Because what
Exactly.
happened is, when I was in Nischit Desai, I finished my CS. I was working with them. I got an offer letter as well from them,
Hmm.
saying that continue with the Swift corporate incorporation services. And there I had my boss, Mr. Ramachandran. I cannot, I have to name all them because they are the ones who made my life what it is as of today. Mr. Ramachandran was a very senior person in the firm, and he actually referred me to Dubai. His
Okay.
was actually working in the company in Dubai in Mercury Hamlin, and they referred me as the company secretary for UAE aspects. Now that came
Okay.
as a shock to me, because when he talked to me about this for the first time, I was like, "What am I going to do in Dubai?" I know only Indian law. I know
Correct.
Indian corporate law. I'm doing very well for myself in Nischit Desai. They offered me a job, and it's a permanent status and all that, so it's good. And life was really good. So why should I leave everything over here and go to Dubai? And the thing he said is, Sujay, see, the thing is, in life you get different opportunities, and if
Yeah.
you don't take them, you might regret them in the later stage of life. So what he suggested is, go and see how it is. If you don't like, always you can come back to India. You can practice as a CS, and as a lawyer, whatever you want you can do, but go there and see how it is. And I was like, at the back of my mind, I was thinking, honestly, I was thinking, I'll go there for a month, see Dubai, have nice time, and then come back after 1 month to book a return flight and come back.
Okay.
But I have zero knowledge of Dubai law, so I cannot do anything over here. That is how I thought when I
Okay.
came here for the first time. And
So
today, 8 years later, I'm still here.
yeah, yeah. So I think correct. So one thing which I noticed when Sujay was speaking was he was telling the role of his mentors. That is whether he told training with Sundareshan sir or then later in Nischit Desai with Ramachandran sir and some of the other lawyers that he worked with. So again, the student should pay attention to this, saying that it's a journey and things will start happening, like Sujay said, when you're prepared and when you're ready.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, Sujay, you said about the laws. This is one common question students say that if a company secretary wants to work anywhere abroad, what about the laws? So at least in terms of UAE, can you share how different it is or what is the nature of work, how the law is different? Can you share that?
Yes, yes, yes. See, UAE from a legal standpoint, there are two parts. There is civil law, then there is common law, British common law.
Okay.
Civil law comes from the French side, and the British common law comes from the UK, which we in India follow the same, the legal
Very
formats as
similar.
well. Yes.
Yeah.
So from a UAE standpoint, there is a commercial Act of 1985, which we
Okay.
Commercial Companies Act of 1985, which needs to be adhered, but that has been amended quite some time. The recent amendment was in 2018. So
So,
there again,
so that is your equivalent to Companies Act 2013?
yes,
Okay.
that is the
Fine.
equivalent to Companies Act 2013.
Sure.
The advantage over here is in the UAE per se, there are not many laws, especially when it comes to companies law, because there's no taxation. There are
Correct.
few laws, which is the companies law, then there's labor law, then there is foreign direct investment law.
Okay.
But there is no like FEMA or RBI Act or nothing of that sort. You don't need to
Okay.
go through all of those things. So
Sure.
basically, you need to focus on Commercial Companies Act and the FDI Act and the Labor Act. These are the three main laws that you
Okay.
focus when you're here. And it's not very different from India or UK, because when you step out of India, you need to know that what is good thing worldwide is most of the countries, they follow the British common law,
Okay.
or the legislature, the version of the format. If you go to Singapore, if you go to UK, if you go to UAE for that matter, or any other major countries that you work with, for example Kenya, South Africa, you work on any transactions over there, or even Hong Kong for that matter, they understand the English common law, the British common law, the format. So it's more or less the same thing, the resolutions that you do, the meetings, the laws, the penalties. The penalties can vary on a case to case basis, but it is more or less the same. If you do this, this is the compliance level. If you don't do this, this is the compliance level. So these ways, it's not very difficult to understand the
Mhm.
different laws of different countries, and of course you get a lot of exposure as well in
Mhm.
that front.
So, from what I can understand, is the basic concepts and principles remain the same. Of
Yes.
course, the specific laws or the sections or the clauses is country specific. So the
Yes.
framework remains same, and that should really not stop you from working anywhere in the world if you get the
Correct.
opportunity. Is that right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
You will be able to adapt easily, relatively easily. You'll be able to adapt to any other legal system.
Okay, great. So, what were some of your challenges in your job at Dubai when you first went there, and how did you face it?
That's good. That's a good question actually, because when you first land in another country, you have zero knowledge about that country's laws. So you have to read. You have to read. There's no other way. You have to
Correct.
read. You have to become an expert. You need to talk to the existing people who are here, find advice from them, and learn. That is the first step all the way. And once you do that, the major challenge is when you meet with authorities, like how we go to NCLT over there, registrar of companies in India, all those authorities, we go there
Yes.
to submit documents, to present your case and everything. The same way, you need to go here to different authorities, and you need to meet with them. You need to discuss with them. It's not always easy because there's always a language barrier as well.
Okay.
Because in this country it's largely Arabic based, not English based. So there's always a language barrier as well. But the good thing is, the initial difficulties are largely communication difficulties that you'll face,
Okay.
because once you learn the UAE laws that apply to your companies and to your clients, there's not much else that you need to worry about. But you need to work on your communication. You need to know how to get it done, get the job done, basically.
Okay.
That is the key aspect.
So, like, how is it with the regulatory authorities? The communication happens in English, or is it all online? Do physical meetings are
You
required,
need
or how
to.
is it?
It's a mixture of all. When I started
Okay.
off, it was largely physical, because in 2013 and up to 2015, 16, I think it was all physical, because largely you go meet there. But
Okay.
then Dubai, UAE is a very advanced country in terms of technology advancements. They bring in technology advancements very soon, I would say. So
Yeah.
nowadays everything happens online, so you don't need to very small interaction with the authorities. Mostly the things happens online. And language barrier, not much, because nowadays when you go to them, and they understand English as well, so you can speak to them in English. And it's mostly how you communicate with them and make them understand what you're trying to say. So it's not that difficult now. But previously, yes, it was a bit difficult, because for me also it was new.
Mhm.
It was a different experience altogether, so it was difficult that time. But now it's more or less
Okay.
the same.
Sure, sure. So now the next question is about your firm, because getting into practice or doing your own thing is a challenge, whether you're doing it in your own home country, but
Yeah.
going abroad and being fairly new. How did you take that big decision of starting off your own firm, and what made you start?
Okay, there's no big story behind it. It's a very small story, as how every entrepreneur starts.
Okay.
Mostly, it's an opportunity, I would say, because what happened is, when 2018 VAT came into picture, and the economic situation across the globe was doing not so great. So it was not very easy to find other jobs, to find
Yeah.
move into other companies and everything. So that's how most of the entrepreneurs start, because there's no other jobs to go, and you need to do something. So self employment is the best way to go ahead. And I would say one more thing: many people feel that it's risky to do self employment, and to go on your own and do CS practice and all of that. I would say you should think a lot, because there's a lot of responsibility. You have to take care of your family, you have to take care of business, everything. But I will tell you the way I thought of it is, self-employment is actually good for you, because you're not dependent on one employer, or one
Yeah.
source of income, which is salary. Because when you're employed in some place, you're only looking at one source of income and one salary, and you just have to do a 9 to 5 job and go back home. But if you are feeling that I want to do something more, I can do something more, I can contribute more, then self-employment is the best thing for you, because you can meet a lot of people, get connected to a lot of people, and do a lot of business as well. So self-employment is not for everybody, but if you really feel that 9 to 5 job is not for me, then self-employment is good for you. So I would say that how I started in 2018, or how I started my firm, was the same thing. I didn't want to leave this country, because I've I had invested like 6 years in this country, and it is a pretty good country. So there's no, I mean, from a safety angle and all of those things. So I didn't want to leave that. So, and I had a good existing client base as well. So that was the reason why I wanted to continue over here, set up my own firm,
Okay.
and they had confidence in me that I can do the job well. So that's why they also stuck on with me.
No, but how easy or difficult is it for an expat to start off on their own? Like, what are the kind of regulations, or how do you meet clients? These
Yeah.
kind of challenges. Can you share
Yeah,
something?
from an expat to start up on in Dubai. See, firstly, you need to know what you're doing. You really
Yeah.
need to know what you're doing. You cannot play around over here because the regulations are very strict. It's very high. The penalties for non-compliance is also very high. So you need to really know what you're doing, and you need to be focused on it.
Yeah.
And then you can definitely set up your firm, because setting up your firm is not very difficult in Dubai. It's same
Mm.
like in India. You need to go register with the relevant authority, and they give you the permit. They see your qualifications, and if you meet the requirements, they will give you the license to practice over
Yeah.
here. Okay, so you cannot. One thing in UAE is you cannot practice as a lawyer, in the sense you cannot go to the court and
Yeah.
litigate. That is not possible, because that only is reserved for the Emirati lawyers. But you can advise them, you can prepare documentation for them, prepare cases for them, and all these things you can do. So that in that way, that's a different opportunity as well. And this being a place where it's a global hub, I would say, Dubai, because you can meet a lot of people from different
Correct.
countries. That gives you a lot of exposure
Mm.
as well,
Correct.
as to what clients want, what they're trying to do, and how you can help them or how you cannot help them. But the main underlying foundation bit is you need to know what you're doing, and you need to seriously know what
Mm.
you're doing. Only then you'll be able to do
Yeah, I
things.
think clarity of thought is what Sujay is trying to share, and also knowing. So, can you tell us a little bit about, in simple words, what students would understand? That is, what are the exact services which you give now from your firm, which probably a student also can understand? If you could share some of the services.
Yeah, yeah. See, we are corporate service providers, accounting, bookkeeping, and tax advisory. That's what we largely focus on and do. Company formation is one of the main primary business that we do. In the sense, we directly help clients set up businesses in Dubai.
Mm.
There are different free zones. There are different offshore jurisdictions. There are different UAE mainland companies. So UAE is a tax haven, basically, because there is no
Yes.
corporate tax or income tax over here. So one good thing is you don't have to study about that. But then secondly is once you come here and you want to set up your business over here, it's relatively easy, straightforward. You meet there's a standardized application form and everything. It's not very difficult from that angle. But coming here and setting up is, as I said, you need what we do is, company formation is one of our key business, and regularly advising the clients, on holding board meetings,
Yeah.
AGMs, facilitating audit reports. We work with chartered accountants as well over here. We
Okay.
facilitate audit reports for the clients. We help them in preparing a business plan. We help them in providing other corporate secretarial services. Generally, what you do in India, the same thing that we do over here as
Right.
well. Then we do accounting and bookkeeping services as well.
Mm.
So maintain books of accounts for the clients, and then because the auditor cannot prepare the books of accounts, so we
Mm.
prepare the books of accounts and we give it to the auditor for their review and audit report. And third is tax advisory. Tax advisory, in the sense, we have VAT over here, value added
Yeah.
tax, that was introduced in 2018. So
Yes.
we do a little bit of tax advisory as well. So where we advise clients as to how, under what circumstances VAT is applicable, and under what circumstances VAT is not
Mm.
applicable, and accordingly we advise them on how to do their transactions and all of those things. So that's the
Sure.
main business that we do.
Yeah, I think you spelled it out very clearly and in simple words. If you could share a little bit about the kind of clients, like you don't have to name your clients, but things like Indian companies who want to set up in Dubai, or the local companies, what kind of sectors are they from? So, a little bit light if you can throw about the kind of clients that you handle.
Yeah. The clients, largely around 60% of our clients are from India.
Okay.
About 20 to 30% clients are from Europe,
Yeah.
and 10%, 10 to 15% clients are from Africa. So
Okay.
that's the percentage of clients that we have. Largely clients from India, they want to set up a base in
Dubai.
Dubai, basically,
Mhm.
because for their worldwide business, they. I
Correct.
always tell my clients that you can use Dubai as a trampoline, something that
Yeah.
you can jump in, and then from here you can go to anywhere else in the world. It's not very difficult to set up from Dubai. You can go to UK or US or Singapore or Australia. You can go anywhere in the world. It's like a trampoline. So that's how I,
Yes.
I place Dubai for my clients as well. And largely, I work with clients who are in the technology space, IT. Some of them are into trading. Some of them they do these, the what do you call it? Ingredients in India, and they want to export it to the US or the UK. So that kind of trading business as well. So that those are the clients that I largely deal with. Most of the clients are into trading. Some of them are into IT, and some of them are into pharmaceuticals as well, because they want to ship their goods which are made in India to African countries. So they prefer to have a base in Dubai to do that. So that is one of the sector that we work on. Yeah. So
So
pharmaceuticals, IT, trading is the
yeah.
main business.
So I think that's quite a huge gamut. And also earlier, Sujay was mentioning that when you have practice and you have multiple clients, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. That is, you have different paymasters and everybody comes. And when you said clients are there from Africa, from Europe, from India. So it's quietly a global practice you can do sitting in
Yeah.
Dubai. That's really a rare opportunity,
Yes.
especially when hardly 10 years ago was the first time in Brigade Road, Bangalore, you heard about company secretary.
Very true. Very true.
So I
Actually,
think
CS changed my life. Actually, you can say
ex-
that.
exactly, and I think that's a very inspiring story for students. So
Mm.
now I'm sure all the students and whoever is watching this will be quite inspired to know that if they want to be somebody like you, that is like slowly move on to a foreign country or any of the GCC countries. So what? How do you see the profession over there? Is there scope for CS in the future, and what is the kind of route the student should take?
There is very much a scope for CS students in the future, because, see, as I said in the early part of the interview, once you come out of India, your role of a company secretary is less, but more of a compliance officer is more. Though
Yes.
the underlying foundation of both the professions are the same, but you'll be tagged more as a compliance officer rather than a company secretary. Okay, so once you come to GCC, that in Dubai actually, there is a place in Dubai called Dubai International Financial Center,
Okay.
DIFC. So that's a very prominent free zone in the UAE, and that is one of the two free zones which does follow the British common law. So not the French civil law, but they follow the British common law.
Okay.
So it's easy for you to adapt to the DIFC laws because you already studied the same thing in India. So it's easy for you to get in over there. And moreover, I see in the next 5 to 10 years, corporate governance is going to play a key role worldwide, and
Yeah.
that's why the role of a compliance officer is also going to be highly rated. And we need more qualified compliance officers, because the kind of people that we meet over here who call themselves compliance officers are not company secretaries. They
Hmm.
don't have the relevant
Domain
knowledge.
expertise is not there.
Domain expertise is not there. So that, and there is also, you can work in banks. You can find jobs in multinational banks who require compliance officers, who need corporate governance initiatives done within their banks. And there's a lot of scope in it. There's a lot of scope in it, but you need to be really focused. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to understand the legal aspects. And I believe if you really focus and learn CS, it gives you the necessary foundation that you need to come out of India also, and then you can place yourself well in one of these positions, either in banks or multinational companies, or in corporate governance roles, or even in your sole practice. You can start your own practice, and you can be a corporate governance advisor as well. Yeah, that's very
Exactly.
much so.
So I think by whatever you said, what I can understand is that it's a journey because first you started with a firm in Bangalore, then you moved to a law firm, then you got an opportunity because you were prepared. Then later you also had a practice, own practice you could start. So like this, I think everyone watching this should also kind of just be aware that It's not going to be overnight that, okay, you finish CS and somebody is going to call you, okay, come to Dubai, come to Europe or something. It is a journey, and I think your story has really told us that it is possible.
Yeah.
So that is generally about what students can do, but how do you see the future of CS profession? Like, where do you see it going, or what are the kind of trends which you foresee being in Dubai and catering to clients from Europe, Africa, and India? So if you can share your insights, that will be helpful.
Yeah, I see CS going as a more of a regulatory aspect. You know, it is something that you need. It is something that without law, it becomes anarchy. You know, countries don't work without law. So CS is like an enforcer of corporate law, and you should be in a position as an advisor, as a guide, as a hand holder of the board of directors. You know, when you're meeting and when you're going to the board of directors meeting, not everybody is from the law background or anybody. You know, they just know their business. That's the main thing that they know. So you need to hold their hands and you need to guide them as to how things are done. That is the you need to have the answer for that. How to get things done. That is the answer that you need to have. And CS as a profession teaches you that, gives you a wide range of background and everything. So end of the day, what you do is you help clients. You put yourself in a position where you're respected. Because I can remember, 20, 30 years ago, if you want to get into a board meeting or you want to meet the owner of the company, it's very difficult.
Exactly.
They don't walk you in and go meet the CEO. No, they don't let you. But nowadays, you finish your CS course, you're really good at what you do. You can become an assistant company secretary in one of the listed companies in India. That gives you direct access to the board of directors. You're in the room where key decisions are being taken, and that is a very very important experience, I would say. As a professional, it's a very very important experience. And see, the thing is, once you finish your CS course in India and you do law as well, the world is open for you. You can go to UK,
Exactly.
US, Middle East. You can come. You can go to Africa. You can go to Singapore, Australia, wherever you want. The world is wide open, and everybody respects you for what you've done. And there is no this class action that CA is better than CS. No, nothing of that sort. End of the day, you're all professions, you're all individuals, and it comes down to what you're good at, and you should be really good at what you do. So that's all it comes down to. So there's a big, I see a lot of potential for the CS profession, especially in corporate governance, especially in implementation of as a compliance officer. The role of a compliance officer, that is very key, and I see a lot of potential there.
I think while you were speaking, I just caught one of the thing which was actually one of the common problem for students. They often compare CA, CS, lawyer, and all. Of course, each one has their own position. And
Yes.
as a student, see, you're coming from the position of somebody who's been around for more than 10 years, having your own practice in Dubai. But the student, most of their influences are other students or students who are doing CA courses, things like that. So there's some kind of a negative attitude. So,
Hmm.
what do you want to tell them, and how do you think you can motivate them?
See, you start feeling, you actually, CS is not low below anybody. That is one thing. You need to take your mind off that. You're not below anyone else. Okay, they are studying some subjects which are basically they're majoring in some subjects.
Correct.
You're majoring in different subjects. A lawyer majors in different subjects. A CA majors in accounting largely. You may major in corporate governance and corporate law. The lawyer basically majors in every part of other laws. Okay? Corporate law is one subject for him, whereas corporate law is the main subject for you. That's the difference.
Exactly.
So don't compare yourself with other guys and put yourself on a pedestal saying I'm third, CA is first, CA lawyer saying no, nothing. It doesn't work that way. The way it works is you have to become an expert, okay, in one subject. In CS, if you become an expert, the world will respect you for what you know. You don't have
Exactly.
to know everything, but whatever you know, you need to be an expert in that. And CS gives you that expertise. And you know what, if you do CS, you can also become a chartered secretary once you go to the UK. And if you're interested in that bit, you can become a chartered secretary in the UK, and then you can practice in the UK as well. That's an option. And as I say, similarly, worldwide CS is accepted as a profession. And
Yes.
as I said, the role is largely corporate governance and compliance officer. And you should never compare yourself as I'm lower than CA or law, because you're not. Because you're not.
Yeah, I think the message is very clear. If you are ready, if you have the right knowledge, and if you are an expert, the world is waiting for you. It is just about how good you are at what you do. I think that is the
Yeah.
clear message Sujay is sharing with us. So,
Yes.
considering this, what are the kind of skills do you think students require along with studying for the course? What skills would you suggest them to develop during this journey of being a student?
Number one is communication. You need to work on your communication, because whatever you're trying to say, you need to communicate to the other person. You need to ensure that the other person understands you. That's point number one. Okay. Communication in this world, English is the primary language of communication, where worldwide, people understand.
True.
But when you come to a place like Dubai, you'll also understand that you'll meet a lot of people who are not very good in English as well. So
Yeah,
no, it's not like it's a language for communication. uh, I would leave it at that, but the main thing is you need to be really good at communicating what you're trying to say to the other party. Okay, so as a CS, learning the law is good, understanding the law is good, becoming an expert in the law is very good, but unless you communicate it to the other person as to what you're trying to say and he understands in the right way, you cannot do anything else after that. So the main skill that you need to work on is communication. It could be any language, it could be any dialect, but you need to communicate well. But when you come to a global platform, English is the preferred language of communication, so you need to improve your English as well. You can read a lot, read the newspapers, read magazines, company law magazines, and always read what these CEOs talk about, I always listen to articles. I mean, listen to speeches from these high-end law firms, Amarchand Mangaldas or
yeah,
Nischit Desai, and all of them, because what they talk is they talk out of life experience. I have maybe 8 years experience, but they have 30, 40, 50 years experience in them, and that talks a
exactly.
lot. So you need to listen to them a lot. And they give you a lot of advice as well, without even advising you. They give you the advice. So the main thing is you need to know your industry leaders and you need to follow
I
them as
think you are also kind of doing that for the students because how you get inspired by people who are 30, 40 years experience. For
well.
people who are watching this interview, most of them are studying CS, and I'm sure they got really inspired by your story.
I hope
So
so.
now I want to again take back little back in timeline about because you shared with all the great things you have done and how you're doing in Dubai. But there must have been some point when you were studying CS when you felt this is too challenging or should I really continue?
Ah,
So
yeah. Oh
can you
yeah.
just share about that? Because some students will definitely be in that space right now.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Okay, to put the record straight, I didn't clear my CS in the first attempt. Okay, that is
Okay.
the key thing over here. And I know many people who cleared their CS in the first attempt. So I reached here without clearing CS in the first attempt. So you should know that at least till now, I'm not a total failure. So you should not consider yourself as a total failure just because you didn't clear the CS exam in the first attempt. That is point number one. See, clearing the exam is one aspect of it, okay, of the journey. It is not the only aspect of it. So I think I took maybe 4 attempts to clear my final exam, CS final exam.
Mhm.
I took 4 attempts to clear my CS final exam. But the good thing is, I still feel today that I was studying so much, and I was not clearing. Okay, and I remember I was with Abhishek, one of the partners of AAA. So I was
Yes.
with Abhishek in Sundareshan's office, and he was like telling me, Sujay, you can clear. You just have to focus on the right things. Okay, and he took classes for me, and I was with him. So he had already cleared his CS, and he was working as an associate over there in the firm. So he was taking classes for all of us, and it gave us more motivation to clear the exam. But more I saw is, the more you attempts you take, you should not look at it as a negative, but you should look at it as a positive, because the more you learn, it stays in your head for a longer time. you know.
Exactly.
If you just read one exam and you pass out and you forget, I mean, I know most of the students, including me, after the exam we don't even look at our books. We forget, go play something or we do something else. But when you even if you don't clear in the first attempt, it's okay, you can still make another attempt. But the important thing is you should make another attempt. You should
Yeah.
not give up and go saying that, oh, this is too tough and this subject is not for me and I cannot clear this. No, nothing of that sort. You have to make an attempt, you can clear. The intention, the effort, and everything comes into, results on the day of the results.
Mm.
I still remember, I think it's still February 25th and September
Yeah, yeah.
2024.
The dates are the same.
Yeah, so I still remember the days. These are the 2 dates when always the butterfly goes in your stomach and everything, nervousness in the heartbeat goes.
Correct.
Yeah, but the thing is, the main thing over here is don't focus on clearing the exam in the first
Mm.
attempt. I mean, if you clear, it's very good for you. You're really good, but that's not the be all and end all of your life. You can take more attempts. You have to clear. That is the key. You have to clear the exam, and the most important thing is what happens after the exam.
Mm.
CS gives you the certificate. It certifies you saying that you have cleared this exam. Congratulations. It is only a certificate after that. What
Yes.
you do with it is the next part of your life.
And
Okay,
it's
so
up to you.
it's up to you. So you cannot just after I know people who have cleared CS and they come to I was working with this person as well. They just say that what has CS given me? After
Mm.
clearing the CS, he says what has CS given me? I'm like, you're sitting here, you have a job, you're doing this job, and you're saying that what has CS given you? It is put food on your table. Without
Exactly.
this, you would, God knows where you would be and what you'd be doing. So, there are some people who don't appreciate the profession,
Mm.
which is wrong actually,
Correct.
because once you have completed the course, you need to have certain appreciation for what you've done, for
Yeah.
the number of hours you've slogged and you studied and
Mm.
you got through it. So you need to have some appreciation for it as well. And the main thing is what you do after your CS, after you complete your course. You need to work really hard, and doors open. Once you work really
Correct.
hard, doors do open.
Yeah, I think from whatever Sujay shared, I think students should understand that he was just like you over there. If you're sitting here and feeling you didn't clear your exams or you have other challenges, and he was quite open and frank to share that he also took attempts to clear his exam, and that actually helped him because whatever you study never goes waste. Because
Yeah.
what you keep studying is adding knowledge to you, and maybe the exam you clear, if not June, some December. So there's always a December after June and June after December. Students need not really worry about it. So we would like to end this wonderful interview. If you could share some of the tips for the students, like what is your tips or what is your message to the CS aspirants from Sujay?
I would say don't keep your focus much ahead. You need to see yourself as a profession when you complete the course. So completing the course, as I said, if a CS student is looking at it right now, he must be thinking that I have to clear my exam, I'll get a job, my life is settled, I'll get married, my life is settled. No, it should not be your goal. You should not do CS only because of that. You should do CS because you need to learn about the law. You need to have a passion for the law. You need to have a passion for helping out people, because
Mm.
clients are the biggest in the world whom you can help. And as a professional you can help. So you need to foresee all those things. You need to see your position as as how I can help others in the subject, how I can make somebody else do better. Maybe assist in some corporate merger and acquisition. Maybe one day, a big company's merger and acquisition. You should have that kind of passion. You need to have that kind of foresight. You need to think like, I'm going to do something which will make a difference in the world.
Mm.
So, and that's why I'm doing CS. So you should start like that. I would say that you should study hard. It's not easy, but nothing in life is easy. So you have to really work hard to it. You will clear the exam. It's not that you will not clear the exam. You will clear the exam. But the main thing over here is what you do after you clear the exam, and how you keep your position, respectable in the world. So on the world stage, actually. So that is.
Great. Great. So I think at least the message that I got, and if I were the student or somebody was watching this, is that if you keep on putting dedicated efforts and have a vision that you're not just studying for exam but a profession, so please do have that vision and visualize yourself being successful. You can definitely be somebody like Sujay, who went all the way from in Brigade Road, listening to his friend on the phone about CS course, to owning his own firm in Dubai, Sujay Menon Associates. So thanks a lot, Sujay, for joining us, and the students will definitely want to talk to you again. So whenever you can, please do let us know. We'll be very happy to connect with you again. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Alok. Thank you very much.